She told me. It's nothing serious. He just calls me honey for fun. But when I showed up at her company dinner, his hand was sliding up her leg beneath the table while she laughed softly. I left without saying anything. Now she's pleading with me to sit down and discuss it maturely. Hey everyone, before we continue with the story, please subscribe to the channel and smash that like button if you enjoy these kinds of updates. Thanks. It's nothing serious. That's simply Julian's way of speaking. He calls everybody honey or darling as a gag. Don't turn this into something strange, Owen. You're letting your own doubts cloud my professional life. Those were the words. That exact string of sentences that kept me frozen in doubt for 3 whole months. It was the phrase that forced me to question my own judgment, my own vision, and the instinct that had been shouting warnings ever since Mia began her new position at the advertising agency. I'm 31. I'm an architect. I work with blueprints, supports, and critical beams. When a support is damaged, you don't cover it with fresh paint. You repair it or you demolish the structure. But in my relationship with Mia, I was allowing her to gloss over fractures that were growing wider every day. We'd been together for 3 years. They were solid years. Reliable. We were discussing purchasing a house outside the city, perhaps adopting a puppy. I was the calm, dependable force. She was the bright, unpredictable spark that kept everything exciting. But everything changed when she secured the senior account manager job. It meant higher pay, more trips, and a demanding, high-energy office environment that seemed to require complete dedication. That's when Julian entered the picture. At first, Julian was merely a name mentioned casually during meals. Julian had this wild concept for the campaign. Julian picked up donuts for everyone. Julian is hilarious. You'd really like him. He was the VP of sales, a star in the company. From what I could tell, he was the closer who landed the contracts that paid the bills. He was magnetic, outgoing, and, according to Mia, simply a very physical person. I tried to be the understanding partner. I truly did. I've never been possessive. I don't look through phones. I don't demand to know who she's messaging. I believe that if you have to monitor someone, the relationship is already finished. But the Julian mentions gradually shifted in flavor. They moved from professional respect to something more intimate. It began with the schedule. She'd get home at 8, then 9. Then came the after-work gatherings. Those stretched until midnight on weekdays. When she returned, she wasn't exhausted. She was energized, buzzing with excitement, carrying the scent of premium cocktails and glancing at her phone constantly. Then came the office spouse comments. Julian is basically my office husband, she said one evening while we streamed a show. She was typing rapidly on her screen. He even remembers my coffee preference better than you. She chuckled. I didn't. Is he messaging you right now? I asked, keeping my tone even. It was 10:30 at night. It's only office chatter, she replied without looking up. Some personnel issues. You wouldn't understand. The moment that should have ended everything came 2 weeks before the awards banquet. We were lying in bed. Mia had dozed off with her phone on the bedside table, screen facing up. I was finishing a chapter, trying to relax, when the display illuminated. The room was dim, so the glow was unmistakable. I glanced sideways. I wasn't prying, but the text preview was large and stayed visible long enough. Julian. Good night, honey. Wink emoji. Catch you tomorrow. Don't keep me waiting again. My heart sank. It felt like lead in my chest. Good night, honey, with a wink. I stared until the screen darkened. I watched Mia sleeping calmly, her breathing steady. A wave of sickness hit me. This wasn't office chatter. This wasn't personnel drama. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing conversations, searching for any innocent explanation that didn't mean my girlfriend was emotionally involved with her superior. The next morning, as she prepared coffee, I brought it up. I aim to stay composed. I aim to be reasonable. Mia, I said, resting against the counter. I noticed a message appear on your phone last night. She stopped moving. The spoon rattled against the cup. She turned, eyes narrowing quickly. Not guilt. Irritation. You checked my phone? No, I replied, voice level. It lit up beside the bed. It was from Julian. He called you honey and added a wink. She paused a moment, then did something unexpected. She laughed. A sharp, belittling laugh. Are you for real? She asked, shaking her head as she added cream. You're actually upset about that? He called you honey, Mia. Late at night. Oh, please, she exhaled dramatically, rolling her eyes. Owen, don't become that guy. Don't turn into the possessive, suspicious boyfriend. It's awkward. How is asking why another man uses pet names with my girlfriend at night possessive? She banged the mug down. Liquid spilled. Because that's just Julian's personality, she declared, arms raised. He says that to everyone. He calls the front desk girl sweetheart. He calls the new hires cutie. He's continental. He's expressive. It's playful. It's innocent. That's simply Julian's way of speaking. He calls everybody honey or darling as a gag. Don't turn this into something strange. She brushed past me, picking up her purse. She paused at the door and looked back with clear disappointment. I thought you were confident enough to support my career, she said, tone heavy with judgment. Julian is my superior. He's guiding me. If I complain about his humor, I seem uptight and it damages my position. Do you want me to lose my job because you're feeling threatened? I'm not threatened, I countered, but my words sounded weak. She had flipped the script so quickly. Suddenly, I was the issue. I was jeopardizing her success. Then stop behaving like it, she snapped. I have a major client meeting today. I don't have the energy to reassure you over a misinterpreted text. We'll discuss this later if you can handle it maturely. She left. I stood in the kitchen, feeling diminished. Feeling foolish. I repeated her explanation. He says that to everyone. It's playful. Maybe she was correct, I convinced myself. Maybe workplace norms had evolved and I was outdated. Maybe I was overly sensitive. After all, Mia was attractive and outgoing. Of course men would flirt. If she insisted it was harmless and one-sided, I should believe her. That's what a trusting partner does. I buried the suspicion. I forced it down, deep into the place where stress festers. I'm sorry. I messaged her later. Best of luck with the meeting. She responded right away. Thanks. Love you. Don't stress about Julian. He's irritating anyway, lol. I breathed out. I dropped it. I was naive. 2 weeks later, the company awards banquet arrived. It was a formal affair at one of the most elegant venues downtown. Mia had purchased a new gown. A breathtaking, open-back sapphire blue dress that cost more than my first vehicle. She had been excited about this evening for weeks. It's a major chance to network, she explained while styling her hair. Julian will introduce me to the executive team. I need you to be sociable. Can you manage that? And please, don't glare at Julian. Act normal. I'll act normal. I agreed, straightening my tie. I'll be the ideal date. I checked the mirror. I appeared composed. I looked like someone in control. But as we entered the grand hall, beneath the sparkling lights and the murmur of elite conversation, that heavy feeling returned to my gut. I scanned the crowd. It didn't take long to spot him. Julian was by the bar, nursing a whiskey, surrounded by an admiring group. He was older than I'd pictured, around 45, with distinguished gray streaks and a perfectly tailored suit. He exuded that particular brand of self-assurance common in high-stakes sales. Mia gripped my hand. Let's go greet him, she murmured, eyes bright. She wasn't holding my hand for reassurance. She was pulling me toward him. She was leading me to the precipice, and I, like a loyal companion, followed willingly. We reached the group, and Julian noticed her immediately. His gaze didn't stay on her face. It swept appreciatively over her figure in the blue dress before meeting her eyes. Mia, he announced loudly, stepping forward to envelop her. It wasn't a brief greeting or polite embrace. He drew her in tightly, holding longer than necessary, his palm resting comfortably low on her back. You look stunning. I always knew blue suited you. She smiled widely, cheeks pink. Thank you, Julian. You're looking sharp too. At last, he acknowledged me. His grin was superficial. It was the expression of a predator sizing up lesser competition. And you must be Owen, he said, offering a handshake. His grasp was overly strong. I've heard a bit about you. Nothing bad, I hope, I replied, returning the pressure. Oh, generally positive. He chuckled, slapping my shoulder firmly. Mia says you're the artistic one. Architect, yes? Designing fancy structures while we handle the real money. The circle laughed. It was a subtle put-down, portraying my profession as frivolous compared to his. Mia laughed as well. That hurt worse than his remark. Pretty much, I answered calmly. The pre-dinner mingling was painful. I stood nursing a flat beer while Mia and Julian completed each other's thoughts. They used insider jargon I couldn't follow. Shortened terms, office aliases, mentions of meals I hadn't known about. I was physically there, beside the woman I'd considered proposing to. Yet I felt invisible. At one moment, Julian leaned close to murmur something. He didn't simply lean. He encroached. His lips nearly brushed her ear. Mia let out a light, airy laugh I hadn't heard from her in ages. She tapped his arm teasingly. "Quit it," she said, biting her lip. "Owen is right here." "He won't care," Julian replied, winking at me. "He knows it's harmless fun. Isn't that right, Owen?" I met his stare. "Depends on your idea of fun." Mia gave me a sharp warning glance. "Don't humiliate me." Dinner was called. We entered the dining area. I reviewed the seating plan. Table 4. Mia, me, Julian. Naturally, we took our places. The lighting softened. Speeches started. Drinks circulated freely. Julian kept topping off Mia's glass before it emptied. He entertained the table with tales of tough deals closed. His posture was entirely directed at her. I tried to concentrate on my meal. I tried to convince myself I was overthinking. He's just continental. He's expressive. Then, midway through the entree, I let my napkin slip. It was an awkward motion, my hand unsteady from bottled fury, but it fell between our chairs. I shifted back and bent to retrieve it. The tablecloth hung low, forming a shadowed space below. I searched for the fabric. My vision adjusted to the low light. Everything halted. I saw Mia's legs. She wore elegant heels, ankles neatly crossed. And I saw Julian's hand. It wasn't resting on her knee. It wasn't an accidental touch. His palm was placed high on her thigh, fingers spread across the skin revealed by the dress slit. His thumb traced slow, claiming circles. And Mia? She wasn't recoiling. She wasn't tense. Her leg angled toward him, welcoming the contact. I stayed crouched. The sounds of the event, the forks, the chatter, the CEO's address, became muffled. All I registered was that hand. That blatant breach of our bond. That tangible proof of the joke she had downplayed for weeks. "It's nothing serious. He calls everybody honey. You're threatened." I picked up the napkin and straightened. Blood pounded in my ears. I felt lightheaded. I glanced at Mia. She sipped her wine, gazing at Julian over the glass. He murmured something, lips barely moving. She stifled a quiet laugh and leaned closer, her shoulder touching his. She was reveling in it. That was the truth that shattered me. It wasn't merely the touch. It was her enjoyment. She craved the rush, the secrecy, the insult of doing it beside me. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. A quiet, icy resolve settled over me. It was the clarity of someone finally reading the true plans. Compromised, unsafe, and beyond salvage. I set the napkin down. I rose. Mia looked up, surprised. "Where are you headed?" "Dessert is next." "I'm going home," I stated. My tone was even. Firm. "What?" Her forehead creased. "Are you ill?" I looked at Julian. He smirked, swirling his drink, showing no remorse. Then I met Mia's eyes. "No," I said. "I've witnessed enough." I turned and walked out. "Owen," she whispered urgently. "Sit down. People are noticing." I kept moving. I passed the tables of cheerful co-workers, the bar, and exited through the main doors. I gave my ticket to the valet, retrieved my car, and drove away. The ride home was quiet. No music, no audio, just the engine and the repeating image. The hand, the thumb, the laugh. I reached our apartment. My apartment, really, though she had gradually filled every drawer and shelf over 2 years. I didn't break down. I didn't smash anything. I shifted into professional mode. Issue identified. Resolution needed. Action taken. I retrieved 2 large bags from storage. I entered the bedroom and began packing. Not mine, hers. I didn't take everything. Just necessities. Outfits. Personal items. Footwear. Her work computer. I folded carefully, methodically. Not out of consideration. I wanted no pretext for her return. No reason to claim she needed something minor. I placed the bags by the entrance. I sat on the sofa in darkness and waited. She arrived an hour later. The key turned. She stormed in, furious, still wearing the blue dress, though it no longer seemed elegant. It looked like a disguise. "What is wrong with you?" she yelled, slamming the door. "You abandoned me there. Do you realize how humiliating that was? Julian kept asking about you, and I had to pretend you were sick." She turned on the lights. She noticed the bags. She stopped. Anger gave way to bewilderment. What's going on?" She gestured at them. "Are you leaving?" "No," I replied, rising. "You are." She let out a tense, incredulous laugh. "What do you mean? Is this about the banquet?" "Because I was chatting with my boss." "You're completely overreacting, Owen. You're acting ridiculous." I saw his hand, Mia. Silence fell heavily. The AC hummed. Her color drained. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. The deflection was loading. I could see her calculating. You saw what? She faltered. I don't know what you think happened. I dropped my napkin. I said, emotion absent. I bent to get it. I saw his hand. Under the table. On your thigh. Hi. She blinked fast. You're mistaken. It was dim. Maybe it brushed accidentally. You're unhinged, Owen. You're inventing excuses to feel jealous. His thumb was moving, Mia. He was caressing your leg, and you were pressing into it. You were laughing. Her face reddened. Denial failed, so she minimized. Fine, maybe, she said quietly. Maybe he got a bit too familiar. We'd had several drinks. It was meaningless. It was fleeting. Nothing actually happened. It's not as if I was unfaithful. You allowed another man to touch you intimately while your partner sat inches away, I said. You permitted him to disrespect me. You permitted him to disrespect our relationship, and you liked it. You labeled me insecure for weeks because I detected this. You made me doubt my sanity. It was an error, she cried, tears appearing. I regret it. I'd had too much. I got swept up. It won't repeat. Please, Owen, don't discard 3 years over one foolish, intoxicated lapse. It wasn't one lapse, I replied. It was the messages, the late returns, the honey. This was the climax, Mia. I'm not staying for the sequel. You can't simply evict me, she shouted, panic rising. I live here. My name is on the lease, I noted. I paid the security. I cover the rent. You send me money for food. You have a sibling nearby. Stay there. Owen, please, she wept, trying to hold my hand. I moved away. Her touch repulsed me now. Take your bags, I said. I'll pack the rest over the weekend. Pick it up when I'm out. Leave your key. She stared, finally grasping that the patient, reliable man she'd underestimated had limits, and she had shattered them. She seized the bag handles, crying dramatically, performing her sorrow. You'll regret this, she choked. You're destroying the greatest thing in your life over pride. Goodbye, Mia. She slammed the door. I locked it, secured the chain. Then I went to the kitchen, poured out the wine she'd chosen, and removed her contact from my phone. The following weeks blurred into quiet. I blocked her everywhere. Social platforms, messaging, everything. I blocked her calls. But the quiet wasn't hollow. It was restorative. I hadn't noticed how much chaos she injected. The endless need for reassurance. The friend conflicts. The work stress she unloaded nightly. Naturally, her supporters reached out. Her closest friend, Lisa, messaged me days later. Owen, you should call Mia. She's falling apart. She barely eats. She insists it's all a big mix-up and you're being harsh. You're truly ending 3 years over hand placement? Be mature. I didn't respond. I blocked Lisa. Her mother phoned. I ignored it. Owen, it's Karen. Mia is heartbroken. She adores you. Please, just speak with her. Relationships have challenges. Don't act impulsively. I blocked Karen. I built a new pattern. The classic recovery trio. Fitness. I hit the gym daily at dawn. I lifted until exhaustion, converting emotional ache into physical burn. Career. I immersed myself in a historic community center renovation. I stayed late, avoiding the quiet apartment. Solitude. I didn't pursue anyone. I didn't socialize heavily. I faced the betrayal. I examined it like a failed design. I understood that Mia hadn't merely strayed. She had seen me as a backup plan. I was the secure base while she sought thrills elsewhere. Julian offered the thrill. Fine. She could keep it. I would retain the stability. The resentment eventually cooled into firm detachment. I stopped caring what she was doing. I stopped wondering about Julian. Until the updates reached me. They began about a month later. I hadn't sought them. I'd instructed shared friends to withhold news. I didn't want reports on her well-being. But details seep through even sealed boundaries. It was Alex, a college friend in another division at her company, who finally shared over drinks. You heard about Julian? He asked, watching me carefully. I tensed. I don't want details, Alex. You do, he smirked. Believe me. I exhaled. All right. Did they elope? Are they the office royalty? Alex nearly spat his drink laughing. Elope? Owen, Julian was reassigned to the European branch 2 weeks after you ended things. He didn't bring her. He didn't even mention it personally. The announcement was company-wide. A faint, satisfied smile formed. Seriously? Yes. And there's more. Alex leaned closer. Once you removed her, and she was suddenly single, Julian backed off. The pursuit ended. He told sales team members she was becoming needy and inappropriate. He avoided her completely until departure. I savored my drink. It tasted like vindication. So that was the epic romance. The deep connection. The office spouse who knew her better. It was merely sport to him. I was the obstacle, and once I exited, the game lost appeal. She's struggling at work, Alex added. Performance dropped. She breaks down in private. Colleagues distanced themselves because the Julian situation made her appear unstable. She destroyed her stability for someone who saw her as temporary. I waited for sympathy, for the urge to reach out. It never arrived. Only confirmation. My gut had been precise. A week later, the messages began. I'd blocked her phone, but emails slipped through. Subject. Thinking of you, Owen. I realize you've cut contact. I get it. I simply want to apologize deeply. I've reflected a lot. Julian was an error. I was vulnerable, and the attention clouded my judgment. I miss our routine. I miss what we had. Can we speak? I deleted it. Subject. Please open. I'm crashing on my sister's sofa. It's awful. I now appreciate how much I undervalued our home. You were my anchor. Julian was manipulative, Owen. You saw him clearly. I should have trusted you. Please let me return. I'll prove myself. I deleted it. Subject. You owe me answers you can't erase. 3 years, Owen. That's heartless. I erred, but your silence is punishing. We were close. Don't I deserve a brief conversation? I paused before deleting. You owe me. The entitlement lingered beneath her remorse. She didn't miss me. She missed the comfort. She missed the reliable bills, the home-cooked meals, the steadiness she'd traded for fleeting excitement. I trashed it and cleared the folder. 6 months went by. I had transformed. I'd gained solid muscle. The community center project earned local recognition. I'd begun dating Rachel, a doctor who spoke directly, avoided turmoil, and had no office spouses. I'd nearly erased Mia's voice from memory. Then she confronted me. It was an ordinary morning. I was at my regular cafe near work, awaiting my espresso. I scrolled emails when someone stood beside me. Hi, Owen. I looked up. It was Mia, but a faded version. The Mia I knew was radiant, polished, confident. This person appeared worn. Her hair was in a careless ponytail. Her jacket hung loosely. Deep shadows circled her eyes despite makeup. She held tea, hands slightly unsteady. Mia, I said. Tone neutral. No warmth. No hostility. Just recognition. I knew you stop here before work, she said, attempting a hesitant smile. I've been hoping for a chance encounter. I'm occupied, Mia. Only 5 minutes, she begged, eyes filling instantly. She'd mastered that vulnerable expression that once melted me. Please, I want to make peace. Things ended so abruptly. I didn't end them abruptly, I corrected. I ended them definitively. I know, she sniffled. And you had every right to be furious. I was awful. Julian. He took advantage, Owen. He spread rumors that I pursued him. He damaged my credibility. I may need to resign. She waited, expecting comfort, expecting sympathy or concern. I simply regarded her. That sounds challenging professionally, I replied. The kind of neutral remark for an acquaintance. She recoiled. The detachment struck harder than anger. That's all. She murmured. You feel nothing? After all we shared? I'm hurting, Owen. I'm truly hurting. She stepped nearer, reaching for my sleeve. I miss you. I miss the person I was around you. You improved me. Can't we try dinner? Rebuild slowly? I swear I've changed. I learned. I moved away, evading contact. You're not hearing me, I said steadily. I am. I know the pain I caused. No. I cut in. You didn't merely cause pain. You demeaned me. You looked at me for months and insisted I was imagining things I clearly saw. You called me threatened to hide your own dishonesty. I know, she wept. I'm sorry. I don't require your apology, Mia, I said, because it no longer matters to me. Truly. She stared, shocked. You can't mean that. I do. When I left that banquet, I didn't just exit the room. I left you behind. I left the manipulation, the excuses, the office spouses, everything. I glanced at my watch. And seeing you now, hearing you fault Julian for your fallout instead of owning your decisions. It only proves I chose correctly. I am owning it, she cried, aware of curious glances around us. I'm standing here, pleading. You're here because you're isolated and circumstances turned difficult, I said. You're not here for me. You're here for the fallback. But the fallback is removed. The barista announced my order. I collected my coffee. I faced her once more. Actually, You should thank Julian, I said. She looked puzzled. Why? He saved me, I explained. Without his boldness, without that hand on your leg, I might have proposed. I might have spent decades with someone who treats commitment lightly. I sipped my drink. So yes, I'm fine. Best wishes, Mia. Owen. Please, she began, voice breaking. I walked out. The morning was fresh. The streets stirred. My phone vibrated. A message from Rachel suggesting a new sushi spot tonight. I replied, perfect. See you at 7. I pocketed the phone and headed to work. I didn't glance back at the cafe window. I didn't need to confirm tears or remorse. She was simply someone from my past, and I had structures to create. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. What's your take on this story? Let me know in the comments.